welcome to our third annual Meet the Primary Candidate Night. These are very unprecedented times with social distancing and government restrictions. Although we cannot meet in person, we still wanted to give the candidates an opportunity to address our members and guests. Last year we had 7 speakers. This year, so far we have 11. We felt it especially important to offer this venue as campaigning is difficult under these circumstances. This is not a debate, but an opportunity for you, the candidate, to introduce yourselves, give us some ideas of why you are running, the issues you feel are important to the office you are seeking, and what experiences and qualities you feel separate you from your opponent.
Good evening. Thank you for the invite tonight to speak a few minutes on who I am and things. My name is, I just want to start off by saying my name is Darren Kroc. I am running for the Town of Shenango Highway Superintendent position. I reside right now at 6 Michael Road in the Town of Shenango with my wife, Alicia, who is a sales executive for HMH, World Publishing Company, and our 2 sons, Travis, who is graduating from, or is at Broome Community College, majoring in criminal justice, and Garrett, who is a junior at Shenango Forks High School. We've resided here in the town of Shenango for over 18 years this time. During these years, I've served in several ways. I've served as within the Shenango Fire Department for over 15 years. As I moved up the ladder in that department, from fireman to officer rankings and everything, I spent over 4 years as their fire company chief. I also have been volunteered with the Shenango Bridge Civic Association for as many years as also with my kids when they were younger. Spending most of that time as the baseball commissioner, basketball commissioner, and also coaching. Grew a lot of memories and friends through that along the way. At this time, I also volunteered at the Shenango Valley High School, my volunteering coaching at the school with the high school programs. And at this time, I am now currently a Shenango Forks Booster Club member. I've worked at the town of Shenango Highway Department for over 18 years, in which I hold the position of heavy equipment operator at this time. I have several trainings underneath my belt while being in the town. I have CPR, first aid. I've also one of the few that have completed the FEMA NIMS training, which is required for all administration within the hierarchy. My motivation for running is the foresight and ambition to establish an approach and comprehensive plan for our roads and towns within the towns. It's my goal to keep one of the lowest tax rates in Broome County in our town, while keeping all our services that we provide as much as we can. It is also the goal to keep the most efficient and effective highway department crews as the work gets done quicker. I would like to thank you for the invite.
I'd like to thank everybody that made this possible. I think it's so important for people to hear from candidates. I'm running for Broome County Legislator in District 2, and District 2 is mostly a rural area, and rural areas can be overlooked. So rural areas need a person with a strong voice, someone who's going to work very hard and be a doer, and I'm that person. I'm highly qualified. I've had a lot of experience in public fund accounting, which the county legislature is responsible for, and a lot of experience researching and developing public policy. If you'd like to know more about me, please go to my website, www.carolynpriceforcountylegislator.com, and click on About Carolyn, and you will be able to read pretty much a lot about my life. I have certainly enjoyed my almost 8 years serving the people of the town of Windsor, and I would like this position so I can continue to serve them at the county level, as well as people in Kirkwood and Sanford. I have 3 issues that I really want to advocate in the Broome County Legislature. And the first is controlling taxes. We know that's going to be a huge issue with what's happened with COVID-19 to the finances in the county. And I have a strong background in public finance, both from an education standpoint and from experience as a school administrator and now as a town official handling public finance. And what have been some of the results? We're so proud of the town of Windsor. For 3 years now, we've been in the top 10 of over 900 towns and cities in New York State for tax-based growth. Since 2013, we've not exceeded the tax cap. And now in 2020, most people, taxpayers in the town of Windsor, are paying less in taxes than they were in 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012. The second area that I want to focus on and advocate for is workforce development. And that, again, is because of COVID-19. Some people will have lost their jobs and will need new training. Other people will go back to jobs that are different and they will need training. So I'm going to advocate for workforce development. And you might say, what are my qualifications? I was director of personnel in a large school district with 1,200 employees. And in the town of Windsor, I have also been responsible for human resources. Results, in the school district, we received the Excelsior Award for Excellence at Work for the extensive training of our support staff. And the third area, my last area that I want to emphasize is helping Broome County to become an age-friendly community. What are my qualifications? I'm chairperson of the Broome County Office for Age and Advisory Council, and we've completed the plan for 2020 through 2024. And then I'd like to point out in the town of Windsor, we have a developer that wants to put in senior housing and also intergenerational townhomes, which means that seniors can live there as well as families. So we're very excited about that, and I want to see Broome County become age-friendly for all ages of people, have lots of jobs, and move this economy forward. I know it's going to be a challenge. I believe I have the background to make this happen. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Friend. Thank you for hosting this tonight. It's always a good opportunity to have all the candidates get out there and have an opportunity to meet. Obviously, this year has been very different because of all the coronavirus issues and the shutdown that the governor has instituted across the state. I have been in this position since 2010, and before that, I served in the county legislature for a term that was in 2006 to 2010, and prior to that, I served on the Parks Commission in the town of Big Flats, and also on the board of directors for the community center Big Flats. And that's where I got my start, was at the local level. This is the town I grew up in. I moved back here with my wife and children, and to be close to family, to have an extended family experience for my kids, because family is very important. Community is great, but family is even more important. You're always going to have family no matter what. Wherever you go, you can always look back and rely on family to be able to help you out in a sticky situation. And I think we're seeing that in the current environment that's going on. I just want to go back to last year when the Democrats took over the state legislature. It was a disastrous year for the state legislature in New York State. We started out the year with the abortion on demand. That was the first bill out of the gate, and they hit it hard. That was not a good start to the year. And later on, during the budget process, they brought forward something called bail reform and drug discovery, or discovery reform. And those are two laws that they brought through amongst their own. They didn't have any public hearings. They didn't go through and interact with the Sheriff's Association or the state police or the judicial system. State legislature and the governor did that on their own, the dark of night, and did not receive any input. a disastrous outcome from those two bills. And we thought that those would be the top issues going into this year. Little did we know that where we'd actually go. But before I get into that, I'd like to point to some of the successes that we've had just in the short time that I've been in the state legislature. Very early on, one of the things that I ran on was the unfunded mandates. That was something that I saw from the county level, and that's why I ran for the state legislature. It's the unfunded mandates which drive up our costs with our property taxes. And at the county level, the number one unfunded mandate is Medicaid. So that was something that I went to Albany trying to push really hard to have some reforms put in place. And we were successful in the fact that we were able to put a cap on the local share of Medicaid growth. It's not as far as I wanted to go. I would like to be like the majority of states out there where the state takes over the entire payment. But at least this decreased that local share growth. And that's been a significant saving for our local governments. Last year, the governor was kind of threatening to pull away from that. Again, during this budget process, he was looking at doing that. And then during the coronavirus funding from the federal government, he was once again trying to change the way that funding was going to happen. And so we had to strike back and point out the fact that this would be a detriment to our local counties and the communities and the property taxes. So that was a very successful thing early on. Another thing that we were very successful early on is when the governor came forward and said that he wanted to shut down the psychiatric centers in the southern tier. Broome County has one, Elmira has one, and Elmira was one that I was involved in very heavily. The governor came through with his throughway authority psychiatric treatment zone idea, and he was going to end up shipping out all of our patients from the southern tier. All of our kids would have to go up to Buffalo or Syracuse in order to receive treatment. And you're missing the whole component of having daily treatments, be able to check in, check out. But more importantly, the people that are there on a continual basis, you're not going to have that involvement of family. The family would not be able to interact with the individual. So we worked very hard with Senator Libous at that time on the Broome side of things, Senator O'Mara and Elmira, and we were able to keep the Elmira Psychiatric Center and the Broome Psychiatric Center open, and that was huge. Another thing that I ran on when I first ran was on ethics reform. You heard big time all about the corruption in state government and the things that were happening there, and that was something that I thought would be very important, that if you're convicted of committing a felony in your office position, using your office to commit that crime, you should not be able to retire on the backs of the taxpayers. And that was something that we successfully passed. It actually had to be a constitutional amendment, so we had to pass it twice through two sitting bodies of the legislature, and then bring it forward to the people for a vote in November. And we successfully did that. I'm proud to say that I was in the
Chris, you
legislature
have 1 minute,
for both
Chris.
of those terms and voted for both of those. And then also the fact that the people supported that. So those were, am I down to 60 seconds?
You got about a minute left. A little shy.
Okay, great. So those were some early successes. And again, we thought this year would be bail reform and discovery laws. Huge impacts on our community. We've had the Sheriff's Association up in Albany trying to bring out impacts. We've had the district attorneys across the communities, again, coming out and talking about the impacts to them and to their patrols and trying to bring it forward. And once again, Albany brought it in their infinite wisdom to do this behind closed doors without reaching out to the Sheriff's Association, without reaching out to the District Attorneys Association. And they proposed their own changes, which are decent. They're a step in the right direction, but they're not going far enough. And we're still have to address that after we get through this coronavirus situation. And that's something where we're all stuck right now.
Okay, Chris,
and
time is,
just to bring up, if you look recently,
time is up, Chris.
that would, oh, okay. But go ahead, check my website for some of the bills that I'm working on. A lot of impact on the unemployment situation. And again, I'm all about increasing jobs, reducing regulations, and reducing taxes.
I want to thank you, Michelle and Don and everyone who put this stuff together here this evening. And I was thrilled to kind of catch it. Being that our district only covers a small portion into the Broome County, I think it's a great thing. I replied back to your email. I'm hoping that other counties model this, that we have an opportunity to have other forums and have local ladies and other organizations involved in the political process. And all those that are online today, thank you for all the hard work you're putting in as well. I think it is a truly difficult time right now campaigning. We can't do the typical things, door knocking, visiting in large groups, and all those type of things. So I understand what you guys are going through, and keep up the good fight. Our people of our districts, our counties, and our towns are worth great leadership, great effort, and that's what I'm running for. A little bit about myself. I grew up here from Horseheads High School. I graduated in June. Sadly, we don't get to see graduates potentially walk the stage. We'll see if there can be some changes on that. But I feel sad for those. I am working with a number of different organizations and businesses that are actually bringing out banners and signs and things like that. I think that's a great thing. Definitely shows our community involvement on that. But I graduated from Horseheads High School. 30 days to the day after graduating, I joined the U.S. Army. Did my basic training and stuff down at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Beautiful, beautiful Fort Sill, Oklahoma. It's nothing like upstate New York. It's vast and flat. So it was different for me. Having tornado warnings in the nighttime and things like that was always, I was like, what's that alarm for? So anyways, I did my basic training there. I did my advanced training there. And then I went over to serve 2 years in Germany, where I was doing nuclear weapons with the purging missile system. While I was over there, part of the Reagan drawdown was to, and the agreement they had was to eliminate some of the nuclear weapons that their military had. I reclassified, came back to the States, went to Fort Sam Houston, and was reclassified into drug and alcohol counseling, inpatient psychiatry, terminally ill counseling, and those things. And then I think it was kind of the military's best sense of humor is they sent me to Dwight David Eisenhower Army Medical Center. I figured I was like, my name's Ike. Why not send me to where his namesake for the hospital there at Fort Gordon, Georgia. I served there until the end of my term, honorably discharged at the end of that. Immediately got out of the Army, actually about 2 months before getting out of the Army, bought a Sonic drive-in, ran that for a number of years, and sold that. Started with another company called Party City down in Augusta area, moved to Atlanta, where I met my wife, was a district manager there. And Atlanta was definitely nothing like upstate New York. Really missed it, really missed the opportunity to have our children being raised in a community that, circles the wagons when things like this happen. And where you have neighbors where you know their names, and they come out and help you, when there's sicknesses or whatever going on, turmoils. So we moved back here about 13 years ago. I opened up a store out here in Horseheads called Party Time, again, in the party supply business. Ran that until about November of last year, because this was one of the things that I would like to do, is run for the office. And I know that I couldn't divide time between family, a business. I also have my real estate license, which I still have, and run for an office. I just thought it was too difficult. I didn't think it was fair to the constituents and citizens of the district to have a business owner who's
We have 1 minute left.
Okay, part-time in that. Anyway, so that was one of the reasons why I closed the business. I am all about supporting our local governments, giving them the tools, giving them the ability to govern locally. I am an active community member. I've been on a number of boards, a past Rotary president, and I sit on the board currently with Meals on Wheels and Bethany Village to take care of our elderly. And, you know, I really believe that we can turn this ship in New York. I know it's going to be an uphill battle, but you know what? I've been in uphill battles in the military and other things in business. All right. Thank you.
You're on.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate the Broome County Women's Republican Club for my invitation to do this. Your forward thinking actually allowed me to talk to some to the candidates to get out and talk to some voters. Traditionally, we'd be knocking on doors and doing the things that I've always learned to do, but right now nobody wants to see a stranger with a mask knocking on their door wanting to shake hands. First off, I guess I'd like to tell you my name's Joe Angelino. I'm running for the state assembly in anticipation of Assemblyman Crouch's retirement. I'm married to a nurse practitioner. Her name is Kendall Saber, and we have lived in Norwich just about our entire lives. My began early. I was appointed a deputy sheriff at the age of 18, and I've been involved in public service ever since. And my adult career, like I said, started young, but I've had 3 basic jobs since I was old enough to have a job. One was police officer, the other is in a fire department, and concurrently I enlisted in the United States Marines. All of these career fields, I started at the bottom, and through my work ethic, my enthusiasm, and education and desire to get ahead, I made my way from the bottom all the way to the top. I've held positions as a police chief, a fire chief, and also a sergeant major of Marines. Another thing about those jobs, each of those jobs required me to take an oath. And an oath of office isn't something that happens in a lot of jobs, but those are magic words where you swear to uphold and defend the Constitution. And taking that oath nearly cost me my life in 2005. My reasons for wanting to run for the assembly and go to Albany is because I want to work hard to be a strong voice for this rural district. I want to fight for this district that's been getting overrun by the downstate liberals who are just attacking everything that is our fabric of life up here. Throughout my career, particularly in leadership positions, the things my parents taught me have seldom failed me. The principles that I led my police department, a fire department, and my Marines was to treat everyone with respect and the way you would want your mother, father, brother, sister treated in a similar situation. The next thing, I don't like to jump to conclusions. I always get the facts first. I like to hear from all sides before making a decision. And another principle that I've lived by just about my entire life was to be nice to everyone. It doesn't cost anything, but the return on investment of being nice is enormous. Throughout my lifetime, I've had one common theme, and that is to help others. After about 35 years as a police officer, the last 20 as a police chief, when I retired, I was invited to lunch with Assemblyman Crouch, and he asked me if I could help him. And I guess it was still in my blood that when somebody says help, you don't ask what, you don't ask why. A true friend says when and where. And Assemblyman Crouch asked for help, and I've been helping him for about 5 years. The last couple of years, apparently he was getting some pretty good feedback. I'd made a lot of relationships and friends throughout the district. I get to know the district really well. It's very rural, it's very large. And Assemblyman Crouch said, you know, you should consider running for this position. And with his endorsement, I did that. And I was lucky enough to get endorsements from a lot of the people who I've met over the last 5 years. There's many things that I'd like to talk about, and I know no one wants to hear everybody drone on. Hopefully I don't go for 5 minutes, but one of the things that I'd like the issue is, I think New York is headed in the wrong direction. We've heard about the bail reform, we've heard about all kinds of things, but what everybody really needs in upstate New York, particularly the southern tier and central New York, are jobs. Our economy is abysmal. I think we have, New York State has the least business-friendly climate of any state. Maybe New Jersey is last. We might be 49. There's something to root about. We're not quite at the bottom. But our demographic right now is getting older. We're having trouble getting employers to come to the state because so many people have fled upstate New York. Over 1 million people have fled upstate New York since Governor Cuomo became governor. If you think about a million people, that is like pick any 10 counties in upstate New York and wipe them off the map. That is just, I don't know how he sleeps at night knowing that many people have left.
Joe, we have time up?
Yes.
Time up. Okay. Just, you want to finish that note there for a second?
Well, I think we need to prioritize that small business is where we should be investing tax cuts and money there. Small business tends to employ the more people. It's nice to give tax breaks to movie companies, but it's small business where the most people are going to get employed and they're going to reinvest in our local economy.
I want to thank the Broome County Republican Women's Club for holding this event tonight. It's been really tough in the age of COVID campaigning. I never thought I would be part of a campaign where you couldn't shake one hand, you couldn't go to one pancake breakfast or one pasta dinner. I think that it's definitely unorthodox for a grassroots campaign, which is something that I'm running. And I always took a lot of pride in going door to door, shaking hands, meeting the voters one-on-one. But unfortunately, we won't have the opportunity to do so. So I really want to thank the Broome County Republican Women's Club for holding this event. It's something that more organizations should do, and I think you should be proud of it. I also want to thank Victor and Joe Angelino for coming. I think that this is a great event to have, and it's good to see all candidates here because it's important to get the word out and the news out of each candidate. I've been running a small business for over a decade now. I believe that the private sector is where jobs are created. And what my candidacy and what I have to offer is completely different from the others in this race. I have been creating jobs. I have that job creation experience. And right now, we need that more than ever in Albany. There's only one candidate that can say that they've created jobs, and that's me. That's what I have done, and that's what I will continue to do. And if we're in Albany, rules and regulations need to be changed. We've got to cut the red tape, and we've got to lower taxes, or else jobs are going to leave for Florida and other southern states, as we've been seeing. We've lost over 1.4 million people in the past 10 years. We've lost 1.4 million taxpayers. New York is losing its population. More and more people are leaving our state because there's no incentive to keep them here. We need to make sure that taxes, property taxes, taxes for businesses are cut. It's a very simple solution. Now it's time to send people to Albany who are going to fight for these solutions. I'm the only candidate that will fight for those solutions. I'm in the private sector. I've been living it. I know how hard it is to run a business with the red tape and the taxes that we see. That's what I have to offer for this race. In the past, and currently, I'm also a Lyme disease advocate. I believe Lyme disease is something that is growing in our community, and we need to do something about it. One tick bite changed my life forever. And I don't want that to happen to any other New Yorker, New York sportsman, or anybody else who's hunting, fishing, or out in the outdoors, because that's exactly what New York is known for, being beautiful, our water, the outdoor sports. And I think Lyme disease is something that really needs to be paid attention to. And I'm proud to be one of the community's leading Lyme disease advocates. And that's something I take a lot of pride in. I've also served on the Broome Community College Board of Trustees. That's something that I also took a lot of pride in. I've been involved in the Republican Party my entire life. When I was an 8-year-old boy, I went door to door with my father. We put up yard signs. We stuffed envelopes. You're not going to get a more true red Republican in this race than me. I guarantee you that. And I want to bring that experience to Albany. And there are a lot of issues that are being passed, a lot of laws that are being passed in a one-party ruled Albany. Bail reform, the green light law. The green light law, which passes the law which allows illegal aliens a driver's license in New York State. Illegals are receiving driver's licenses in our state. I think that's terrible. We need to stop that. We need smarter legislation. And the green light law and laws like bail reform that we're seeing from Governor Cuomo and his one-sided legislature is exactly what we need to fight. And we need individuals that are loud and in their faces and telling them our communities do not want these policies, and these do not represent our values here in upstate New York. And I think that's really important that we send that message there. I know that in the New York State Assembly, the Republicans obviously are outnumbered. But you know what? It just means that we need stronger voices up there to make up for that. I will be that strong voice in Albany. I wanted to touch base also briefly on the Governor Cuomo putting COVID positive individuals into nursing homes. I think that was an issue that you could have seen coming from a mile away. Our most vulnerable populations had to be subdued to those that were sick. And what happened? We've lost over 6,000 of our family members because of his failed leadership and failed policies. Somebody needs to tell him that, and needs to tell him that repeatedly. Thank you, Michelle.
Hey,
All
listen,
right.
I want to thank you ladies for holding this. This is a great opportunity to get the word out for each of us. And here's my word. I want to go to Albany to build teams. We have 104 Democrats in the Assembly right now, and 40, I believe, in the Senate. And that puts us in the super minority. So for me to say I can go there and create jobs and lower taxes, no. It all goes to Long Island and New York City no matter what. The only thing we can do is build a team. We can go in there and build a team, and we can use the pulpit of our office to bring truth and transparency to the Assembly. And that's a big issue with me. Recently, I was featured nationally in USA Today for calling out the pay raises after Facebook did an algorithm on me when I wrote 2 sentences on Facebook. While New York is shut down, legislators gave Cuomo themselves the largest pay raise in history, all while screaming New York is broke. That went viral with over 1 million shares and over 3 million likes, and Facebook fact-checked me using USA Today. USA Today said the information was false, but they reworded it. They put the word vote in there, and that's not what I said. What I said was they took the largest raises, not voted for the largest raises. Now, here's my issue with that. Everybody in the New York State legislature is illegally taking a raise in 2020. If I'm elected, the first thing I'm going to ask them to do is reduce my salary from $110,000 back to $79,000, because the raise isn't against the Constitution of New York State, and Ways and Means committees failed to recognize that. They weren't supposed to take COLA into consideration. They were supposed to take COLA, the 401k plans, perks that come with the office, retirement benefits, and health benefits. And the only thing they took was COLA. Therefore, going against the New York State Constitution, making those pay raises illegal. And I believe we talked a little bit, one of the candidates from the other district talked about mandates. What that did, when they put that pay raise through, it doubled the salary of every district attorney in every county in New York, from $89,000 to $180,000. And that mandate goes to the county. It's not paid for by the state, like people might think. County taxpayers had to pick up that illegal pay raise. So there should be total outrage over this, and it should be in the news, but it's not making the news. The other thing I would like to say is, as in the minority, we can't promise jobs, we can't promise lower taxes. All we get to do is suck on the grease that runs from the pig. And that pig is the pork that goes out to the Democrats. And we're lucky if we can do anything except form teams. We can form teams in Albany to question and to bring the light to the public, full transparency, 100% transparency to the public about these illegal activities that are going on and the Ways and Means. Like I said, every single person that took those raises in the judiciary have taken them illegally, and most of them are lawyers, and they know it. They know it. And that's what's sad about this state. We did away with the Moreland Commission in 2010, and that was a big mistake. We did away with it because it was getting too close to the truth. We didn't do away with it. Cuomo did away with it. And it's time we put people in there that are going to bring this stuff to fruition. They're going to bring this stuff to the public eye, like the bail reform law. That's been hitting the table in the Senate for the last 3 years, that the Senate owned, that the Republican Senate owned the Senate. It got tabled. As soon as we lost the Senate, the bail reform went through. As soon as we lost the legislator, murdering babies right up to the day of birth went through. We lit our skies up in pink. If that doesn't make you mad, if that doesn't make you mad, if that doesn't upset you, then I don't know what would. I am pro-gun. I am pro-gas. I'm very pro-gas. That's the answer to not raising taxes in this state and in this county. If we use the ad valorem tax, they say each well will bring over $1 million to ad valorem taxes to each county. For every well drilled, for every gas well drilled. It's been proven over and over again that there's been no problems with gas drilling since Governor Cuomo put the ban in place on December 17th in 2014. We have not heard one incident. But before that ban got put in place, we were hearing stuff every day because there was a war. There was a war against the landowners in upstate New York, and it was being fought by people downstate. I will bring that issue back to the table.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, first I'd like to say thank you to the Broome Women's Republican Club for allowing this opportunity to occur. As many of you may know, a judicial candidate is limited in what they can say and what they can comment on. We can't take a position on pretty much anything. And so it becomes a conversation about your experience and what makes you qualified. My call to public service happened very shortly after September 11th. In December of 2001, I joined the fire service as my way to give back to my community who had lost so many people. And I ended up spending 10 years as a volunteer firefighter in 2 different volunteer fire companies in Cortland County, rising to the level of captain. I was always an interior firefighter. And I also spent 8 years as a volunteer EMT. My father spent his entire career in the U.S. Army, and he instilled in my siblings and I the idea that one of the highest forms of citizenship you could have was a career in public service. So with respect to my experience, I spent 8.5 years in 2 separate district attorney's offices prosecuting crimes against children. And when I left the DA's office, I opened up my own law firm where in part I practiced family law. And I became certified as an attorney for the child. And what that means is that I'm specially trained and qualified by the appellate division to represent children in family court. I believe I'm the only candidate for family court judge that currently practices in family court or who's ever been an attorney for the child. Additionally, I'm a local court judge. I've been judge in the town of Union for the last 5 years. And I'm also elected as the vice president of the Broome County Magistrates Association, which is made up of all the local court judges in Broome County. I was also asked in 2018 to serve family court as what's called the accessible magistrate, which is the backup judge for the raise the age legislation, which what it means is that when 16 to 18-year-olds get in trouble and need to be arraigned on what would be criminal charges, they have to be arraigned by a specially trained judge. And so I am the accessible magistrate to do those arraignments if the need arises. Usually it arises on weekends or when family court's not in session. Additionally, I teach at SUNY Broome. I teach both criminal law and criminal procedure, depending on the semester. And I had to switch to distance learning and put my entire course on Blackboard because I was teaching criminal procedure this semester. And I teach out at the Fire Academy, and I'm going to be there actually on June 11th to teach part of the 80-hour arson course because of my time and service in the fire department. And right now I live in Endwell with my husband, who's a captain in the state police, and our 4 kids who are 6, 11, 12, and 15. And I just wanted to say that I've been endorsed by the New York State Police Investigators Association, which has a representative from each troop on that in that association that votes. In 2014, I won the Lighthouse Award for my work with crime victims. And just recently, as of last Friday, I was interviewed by the Broome County Bar Association, because what they do is they allow judicial candidate screenings, and it's a very intensive process. And I was advised that they've rendered their decision, but they haven't released their decision. So there are 3 qualifications. You can be unqualified, you can be qualified, or you can be highly qualified for your position as judge. And so as soon as that determination is made, I'd be happy to share it on both my Facebook page and my website. I'm running for family court judge. I don't think a family court judge position should be political at all. That's not why we're there. This is just the natural progression of my commitment to represent children. And I think that it goes without saying that a family court judge has an incredible discretion to decide who gets to stay together as a family and what happens to children. And both of those things are very important to me. Thank you.
I'm running for Broome County Family Court Judge because I want to continue to fight for families and protect children here in Broome County, just as I have at the District Attorney's Office. A family court judge is the most important position up in an election, but people rarely look at it like that. It is extremely important because every decision you make in a family court case can affect that child and that family forever. So it's important to have somebody with the knowledge and experience and a proven track record that you can trust in family court to make good decisions. When I was at the District Attorney's Office, we focused on a lot of things, but we really focused on protecting children. I started the Special Victims Unit at the District Attorney's Office. Before I was DA, there was no specialized bureaus. And that bureau, those cases rather, were failing. We decided to focus on the Special Victims Bureau and create a bureau where highly skilled prosecutors could fight for children and have more people convicted for abusing children. That was a successful program, and I'm proud of that work. Also, while at the District Attorney's Office, I created the School Resource Officer program. And as far as we know, been the only district attorney in the country to do that. And it's certainly the only program in New York State like that. And we did that to protect children. I wanted to put school resource officers into the schools that didn't have any, to teach, mentor, and protect our kids. And I could say today, there are 10 school resource officers in 7 different school districts, I believe, in Broome County, protecting thousands of kids. And that program I started is functioning very well, and it's very low cost to the towns, the small towns that use it. And I'm proud of that program. And again, it shows the dedication that our office had in protecting children. We also implemented new strategies to help child victims. Even brought on the region's first crime victim assistance dog. And the children who were abused by sexual predators would hold the dog and loosen up and be comforted by the dog so that they could speak to investigators. And actually, for the first time, we actually brought the witnesses were able to bring the comfort dog into the grand jury room. And this happened on dozens of occasions, the dog working with children. We also created a special room to interview child victims and victims of sexual assault so that they could feel more comfortable and open up to our investigators and prosecutors. And we've seen a tremendous success in those type of cases. Those are the types of things that I focus on. That's what's important to me. And I want to bring the experience I have in the background and the love for children and families to family court. Broome County needs family court judge now more than ever. For the past 2 months, the courts have basically been closed. Very few cases can get in. They're not deemed essential by the governor or the court administration. There is a tremendous backlog of cases that will have to be dealt with. There was already a backlog in family court. Now, with this closure and the limited court schedule that's coming up, there will be a tremendous backlog for whoever's elected on January 1st. Fortunately, I've dealt with that before. When I went to the district attorney's office, we had the largest caseload per ADA in New York State. The largest. We had thousands of cases dating back 3 years that were not being prosecuted. We changed that and had one of the biggest turnarounds in New York State. So where cases were generally settled within 6 months. We had murder cases go to trial in 5 months. There is a way to effectively and efficiently get control of the court calendar and the backlog of cases. I've done it before, and I can do it again in family court. So I hope to have your support, and I thank you for this opportunity, especially the Broome County Republican Women's Club. I've been a patron member since 2015 and have enjoyed these programs in the past. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and I hope to have your support.
Yes, thanks everyone, and I really appreciate you doing this, especially the Broome County Republican Women's Club, of which I'm a member. I want to say thank you for your efforts through all these years to help Republican candidates get elected. This is a really important year. It's one of the reasons I decided to get back in the race in October after several months when the president reached out to one of my good friends and asked me to get involved in the race, which is why the president of the United States has actually endorsed me along with basically everybody in leadership in the House side, numerous people across the country, the state, and also in the region. And really, proud to have the opportunity to do this again. It's going to be a very challenging race. It's going to be one of the top seats in the country. I am known as a compassionate advocate. I'm a lawyer, as everyone knows. I'm a business owner. We still have a business in up in Sherburne that was actually founded in Norwich and Sherburne, and also in Clinton, which is the office I'm in right now. I was a newspaper publisher, so I know all about news and fake news and everything else that's going on, so I know what it's like to cover. But that was mostly the reason I got into politics in the first place, and I never feel like I really got a chance to introduce myself as much as I would have liked in Broome County. But as a single parent, I raised my son, who is a graduate of the Naval Academy, and he's now serving as a Marine, so thanks to our Marine out there. And I also want to say thank you to Chris Friend, because that's going to lead me into one of the most important issues that we're dealing with right now, which is this COVID-19 problem that we're having with the state of New York and dealing with it on a national level. We're going to need leadership in this. And I want to say thank you to Chris Friend, who is my colleague in the State Assembly, for being one of, I believe, only 2 people who actually voted against giving the governor the extended powers that he has. And today, I'm very disturbed about the fact that the governor is now potentially going to stop our phase 2, which means that we aren't going to be able to move into phase 2 tomorrow. Hopefully that's not going to end up happening. I've been doing a number of Zoom calls throughout the region, including a number of Broome County small business owners here, people throughout everywhere, the entire district, including a Zoom call with farmers. We're doing another one tomorrow, trying to put people together and get them in touch with people in the administration who I still keep in contact with. Trying to get some response and help with them, whether it's dealing with the PPE, dealing with getting the people's PPP, which is their making sure that happens, and the loans, a lot of unemployment insurance issues, which of course are clogged up with a lot of the bureaucracy of the state government, which is, as our assembly candidates in both races pointed out, is a problem. I'm running again because we do need to take this seat back, and this is really important. I was a leader in Congress. We're in getting the tax cuts fixed. Initially, when the tax cuts were proposed, there was no state and local tax deduction. There was no doubling of the child tax credit and the dependent care credit. Yes, for those of you like me out there who've had to care for your parents while taking care of your children as well, you can get a benefit as well. The historic tax credit was hugely important. I worked very closely with Mayor Rich David on that issue. He actually got to speak directly with people on the Ways and Means Committee, including our chairman, about how important that is for cities like Binghamton, Rome, all across our region. We're one of the most historic regions in the country. The Revolutionary War was fought here, and some of the great battles were in our region. So A lot of that is being accessed and used by our taxpayers, by our small businesses. So I was very strong on those issues and really wanted to make sure we took care of that. Rolling back regulations for our small community banks. They serve our farm community. Farming is still one of the most important and one of the most beleaguered industries that we have in this district. Everyone, the assembly candidates, I think, touched on that as well. It's really important that we keep everyone on track. I supported the president. I advocated with the president. When I disagreed with the president, I got to talk to him and say, you know, we need assistance for our region. And that was numerous areas where we needed community service block grants, where we needed community development block grants. We needed to have some kind of relief from what was going on in the state government, which all of the assembly candidates have pointed out is a grave problem for our communities with the outmigration. So I'm going to continue to advocate. We have a very strong campaign. We've been designated as a young gun. That means it's one of the top races, and we have shown that we have met all the parameters for getting all the aid we need from the Republicans in the national level. We are obviously have a lot of endorsements. We're raising money. This is going to be a very expensive, very complicated race, and I think we are the candidate that's going to be able to win this. And I just really hope that I can get your support. In Broome County, we did a lot for Broome County. I think I can answer maybe some of that in the question part of it because we were up to 5 minutes right now.
Yep, we're up on.
So
on the
I'd be
time.
happy to take the questions and also talk with people offline if anyone's interested in asking any question. I'm happy to answer it.
Hello, how's it going?
There we go.
Gotcha, are we on here?
You're on. Thank you.
Yeah, Martin wanted to say hi quick. I know you've seen a lot of candidates. It's been a long night. There's nothing like kids and the Broome GOP women. Martin's 7 years old. He loves U.S. history. He's a good Republican, right? Who's your favorite president? Lincoln, of course, the founder of the Republican Party. So thanks for welcoming us through the years at Broome GOP Women. Michael, his brother, has a birthday today. I think he got a turn on a video game, so he's not in here. But I just want to thank you for having me on. And take this too here, buddy. It's great to see you all. For those who don't know me, I'm George Phillips. I'm a teacher in the community here. I've run for office before. I do have a strong background. I worked in manufacturing at IBM my summers in college, grew up in Endwell. I got degrees from Villanova and the University of Notre Dame. I served as a congressional aide for a congressman from New Jersey. He was chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and he was vice chairman of the International Relations Committee. I worked on 4 bills that were signed into law, including one to rescue women from human trafficking. And I got a lot of expertise during that time. I continued my career as a teacher. I've actually taught at Seton Catholic Central, where I've been a dean of students, Broome Community College. I've taught in inner city DC schools. I also taught in a maximum security youth detention facility called the McCormick Secure Center. I've done a lot of economic policy group work. A lot of you know that I was the regional director for Reclaim New York for 2.5 years. Our mantra was taxes are high, businesses are leaving, and corruption is a problem. We fought for property tax reform. We fought for reform in Albany. And I determined that things are so bad and so corrupt in New York State, we need good people going there still. But I can make more of a difference for this community in the United States Congress, where I almost made it in 2010 in a very close race against Congressman Maurice Hinchey. I've also done a lot of economic policy work for the Jack Kemp Foundation. He was a Ronald Reagan friend, vice presidential candidate, and my mentor. I worked for his son, Jimmy Kemp, and I'm full of bold ideas that I want to work on in Washington. There's so much fighting and bickering in Washington now. If I had to summarize my candidacy, I'm an American history teacher who teaches the Constitution, and I want to go to Washington to fight for freedom. Some policy items that are going to be bigger now than ever with coronavirus and now the massive amount of spending we've had lately are the national debt. The national debt was $23 trillion before coronavirus even hit. I've got a plan based on a Ronald Reagan model called the Grace Commission to take business leaders, to bring them in to scour for waste, to make members of Congress come up with recommendations to cut waste. Imagine that, Congress cutting waste instead of spending money, and to try to rein in this national debt. Healthcare is a huge issue, I know, for all of us, and especially with coronavirus. Our family, when I was regional director for Reclaim New York, couldn't afford health insurance. The family plan was $30,000 a year. We actually don't have health insurance. We have something called MediShare. We share bills with other people in the partnership. We need more choices with health insurance. I'm going to fight for a dynamic market of choice in health insurance. Before COVID-19 hit, unemployment was low. I think those numbers were artificially low. There was too many people, especially in our community here, who have come to this community from downstate, from other parts of the country, just because welfare benefits go further. That's not right. We need drug testing for welfare recipients. We need welfare to work, and as the economy picks up, that's going to be a huge priority of mine in Congress. When you look at this race between Claudia Tenney and I, you've got to look at a couple key issues. One, who's the most electable against Anthony Brindisi? I wanted Tenney to win last time, but she lost a district. President Trump won by 15 points. Mark Molinaro for governor on the same ticket beat Governor Cuomo by 20 points. Tenney couldn't win, and I don't think she could win now. Polling shows that her negatives are simply too high. I almost won a district with 43,000 more Democrats that Obama won against Maurice Hinchey. I could beat Anthony Brindisi, especially here in Binghamton, where he beat Claudia Tenney by 10,000 votes. This is an area that a Democrat needs to win big. If they don't, they're not going to win this district. I know I'm well positioned against Brindisi, and I know I could win this race. We also have to look at conservative values in this race. I've long had conservative values. I'm very disappointed with Claudia Tenney's voting record. If you look at the American Conservative Union ratings, she had an F rating, one of the lowest in Congress with this group. It was 62%.
1 minute, George.
She supported transgender military surgeries and other liberal policies. I've been endorsed by Reagan and Trump economic advisor, Dr. Art Laffer, and I've been very accessible. Claudia Tenney won't do debates. She turned down a major debate with the League of Women Voters. Even Maurice Hinchey had debates with me. We had 7 debates in this last 2016 primary. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready for your questions, and I appreciate all your time.